All right, so this video is going to be all about giving yourself a few more options when it comes to creating a little bit more flexibility in your character in terms of how the joints work. Yeah. Now, if you remember from the previous video, your character is going to work totally fine the way it was set up. It'll move around as if it were like the Lego character toy. The And you can do a lot with that. Yeah, as like things like the Lego Movie have proven. You don't really have to have all of that, like the bending in the knees or in the elbows or at the waist, yeah, to make a character that's expressive and can like kind of like really tell a story. However, I also wanted to give you folks the like a little bit of experience, like putting together a or weighing your joints so that you're actually allowed to sort of bend um, like objects that are a full piece. Yeah. So for example, right now, like we have our shoulder joint. Our shoulder joint is like completely 100% in control um, of your arm. Yeah, and that really kind of negates your elbow. Which, if you were to kind of turn this, like nothing really is going to happen except for you're going to move um, your claw very awkwardly. Yeah. Now, in reality, like especially as you start moving up and start working on higher end models, you want to make sure that, like, yeah, when you do that kind of rotation for an elbow, that that part of the character actually deforms the way you expect it to. Yeah. So we're gonna kind of give those qualities to the upper body. We're gonna give those qualities also to both arms and also to both legs. Yeah. So you'll get like some pretty good practice there. So I'm gonna start off with the upper with the torso. Yeah. So we're gonna click on that. And if you remember the last time, we went into the skin menu, and then we did go to the square next to paint skin weights. Yeah. And what this does is it gives us like some visual information depending on which joint is selected. If you remember, we went to spine one joint, and we made sure that it was like 100% controlled by that one joint. Yeah. So that there wasn't any deformation, and also it wasn't like weirdly affected when you started moving other joints, yeah, in the character. Okay. Now what we're gonna do here is we're actually gonna put our spine 2 in play. Yeah. So we're gonna put our spine 2 in play. So if you notice right now, if I click on spine 2, it goes completely black, which as it should, right? Spine 1 is 100% in control of what's going on there. Okay. Now there's a couple things we're gonna change up here. Okay. Number one, we're going to switch up your paint operation, and we want to do an add instead. Yeah, so we're going to do an add operation. So this means that we're going to actually be literally using the paint to change up our skin weights. Yeah, and to do that, we're going to do an additive process. So the more brush strokes you cover your your vertices with, or your edges with, the more they'll be influenced by the particular joint that is selected. Additionally, we're not going to go with this value scale here. Yeah, right now if I were to paint at this value scale, I'd be transferring whatever I'm painting to 100% the value of to our spine 2 joint. Yeah, and that's a little bit too extreme. Yeah, so I'm actually going to change this one up to 0.25, so about a fourth of the influence, yeah, that we're going to be adding on here. Last but not least, I'm going to be jumping to this color ramp down here. Yeah, so I'm going to click on this color ramp. Okay, and what this will activate is a bunch of colors in the middle. If you remember before, we went from white, which is like 100% influence, to black, which would be 0%, no influence whatsoever. Yeah, the joint has no influence over that particular section. Okay, now if you take a look at this, they're still going to be in play. Yeah, so when you see white, that means it's 100% influence, and the opposite, right, if you see black. Now, in between though, our gradient is going to switch. So what was happening before is the lighter the gray, the higher the influence, right? Darker the gray, there might be some influence, but like it's like negligible. Yeah. This time though, we're going into like more of this rainbow scale. So if you notice anything red is almost close to 100%. Then we have our midpoints, yeah, which would be more along the lines of the yellows and the greens. And then if you see something at the blues nearing the black, that means that like, okay, it's not really affected very much. Okay. Now here's how this works, yeah. So again, spine 2 joint, and remember, because we chose the additive process, what I'm gonna do up here is I'm gonna start painting Yeah, so I'm going to kind of paint this area. And you notice as I go over these vertices, it will slowly begin to change its color. Yeah, so it slowly start to change its color. Now the objective here is with spine 2, we want to have a bend point here, so we actually do want this part over here to be at 100%. Yeah, and remember right now we're at that green area. Yeah, so that means we're about like, you know, about like a little bit, maybe about like 50% influence over there, whatever. Yeah, but we're gonna kind of keep painting over here. As you notice, as we kind of go over, okay, we're starting to hit the red. At a certain point, you are actually going to get to the white area. Yeah, so you can kind of do that. Now, some of you folks may be thinking, yeah, why not start off at 100% right here? You can, yeah. I wouldn't necessarily discourage that at this point. But we are going to need this 25% to show up a little bit later in the game, especially when we get to this line right over here, because in this line, we have to make sure that we're not putting this at 100%. Yeah, we're going to actually kind of share the influence right over here between spine 1 and spine 2. If not, when you do a bend, it's going to look like really much like a strong crease, and that's probably going to be a little bit too extreme looking. Yeah, almost like you're breaking the figure. Very alien looking. Yeah. Okay, so again, up here, yeah, we're going to keep that at 100. Yeah, so if you notice, I am kind of going over here, especially for like these top rows. I am not at all concerned about like changing who's in charge. Yeah, over here I do want the spine 2 joint like fully in charge up here. Okay, the other thing I'm going to do before I progress too far down over here is to make sure that the character is, I can kind of see like the edges that aren't there. So I'm going to press my Q key. I'm going to kind of hide the sections that are possibly going to get in the way. Yeah, so that means the head, also the arms, and the midsection. Yeah, and I'm going to just temporarily do a Control H. Yeah. That way, when I click on the torso and go back to skin weights tool, I have a lot cleaner view. Yeah, it looks like I kind of did a good job anyway up here, kind of putting this almost all at 100. But as far like where the head was, however, when it came to the arms, looks like I kind of missed a few spots. Yeah. Okay. Now right over here is where I start to get a little bit more careful and a little bit more conservative. Yeah. So if you notice right now, my brush is a little bit on the larger side. Yeah, and that is going to cause me to like kind of overlap and get more vertices than I necessarily want. What I can do though is I can go down to this stroke section down here. So if you click on stroke, okay, here is your radius. Yeah, so if you notice, if I have this at a 1, yeah, it's going to be about this size. Yeah, now I can actually kind of take this and bring that down. Yeah, so if I have it maybe more at like 0.5, I feel like that's a little bit more easier to control, because if you notice, I don't end up overlapping 2 rows, yeah, very often. Yeah. Okay, and then I can kind of continue on here. Yeah, and I'm just again making sure that this top area is fully influenced by the spine 2 joint as much as possible. Yeah, so kind of reclaiming this. Yeah, and we are taking this away from the spine 1 joint. If you kind of want to see the effect of this, yeah, you can also kind of take a look in your influences section. If you jump to spine 1, you kind of see like, oh, okay, well, everything that I was selecting is white, right, for spine 2, and then you see like kind of a trade-off, yeah, happening here. Okay. All right, we're about at the point, so I'm probably right about here. I'm gonna start to, I can kind of max this out, I guess. But yeah, right over here is where things get a little bit dicey. Yeah, so I'm almost at the bend point where that spine 2 kind of looks like it crosses over. Yeah, so probably the best place to see this would be in the front view. So I'm going to switch to that real quick. Yeah, so here's the front view. Okay, and you notice at this point, yeah, this is our shared point. Yeah, so we should have a little bit of influence. Spine 1 should have influence. Spine 2 should also have influence. Yeah, so when we're painting, because we're at 0.25, I'm just going to do 2 runarounds. Yeah, so basically I'm going to go here, 1 to there, and then going around, getting that loop all the way to here, and then one more right over here. Yeah, so I got a little bit of that. Yeah, to make sure that it's about a shared situation. Yeah, remember it's 0.25, right? So if I go over here one more time, yeah, it looks like I'm starting to get into more of that yellow range, so that'll be more of like about 50%. Yeah, shared. Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of drop these off, kind of get this going right over here. Yeah, what that should give me is like a little bit better of a sharing position. Yeah, as far as that goes. All right. One thing you could also do is if you want to make sure that it's like exactly at the 50%, what you can do here is if I go to my value here, and instead of painting 0.25 over and over, because this is kind of a simpler model, we can get away with just going to 0.5, switching this to a replace, and then kind of going like doing this. Yeah, and then this will kind of, if you notice, it kind of gets rid of a little bit of the red and the orange. Yeah, which should indicate higher than 50% shared. Yeah, between the two. Yeah, so now it's like 50% influenced by this joint and 50% still influenced by the original joint. Yeah, now we can kind of see how this turns out. Yeah, so right now I'm going to go to my spine 2 joint, just do a quick rotation. Yeah, so again, I'm going to go over here, just do a quick rotation, and then what you'll notice is now I should be able to kind of bend it, and provided I don't bend it too extremely, yeah, it'll deform, but it won't deform to the point where it feels like it's a little bit too much. Yeah, so kind of working that over here. Yeah, and then you'll notice like the top stays, integrity of the top stays consistent, and also spine number 1, yeah, it maintains its strength, yeah, down over here. Yeah, so it doesn't like end up getting displaced when we're moving around the spine 2 joint. Yeah, okay, so again, that's kind of a way to like balance this out. I'm gonna put this back into its original position. So again, we're gonna go to the root joint, right click, and then choose assume preferred angle. Okay, and that'll pop me back into my original position. Yeah, so interesting kind of method over here. You may notice that if you don't like the crease as much as I ended up doing it on here, you can still add a little bit more influence on here, but for what we're trying to do, like having a 50-50 cut, yeah, so like the shared custody, yeah, between the lower and the upper is pretty effective. Yeah, so we can probably get away with that. Okay, and remember again, the math adds up. Yeah, we don't want to have influences anywhere else. Yeah, it should be between those 2 joints. All right, okay, so that's our torso. We're gonna continue with other parts of the body, so I'm gonna go ahead and now hide my torso, and I'm gonna bring in one of the arms. Yeah, so let's go with the left arm. I'm gonna do my Shift H to bring that back. We're gonna do the same thing. Yeah, so over here we're gonna go into skin. I'm going to go to my paint skin weights tool. Right over here we do have our left shoulder. Yeah, so right now your left shoulder is 100% in control. We're gonna switch that up, right? So your shoulder, we're gonna have it like kind of hit all the way up until maybe about the elbow, and when we get to about the elbow, we're gonna kind of slowly start to lessen that, and then when we get to this area over here, we want this elbow joint to be fully in control, like right when we get down to where the wrist is. Yeah, in fact, even for the wrist, we're gonna have that be like fully in we're gonna have that area not connected to the wrist joint still. Yeah, the wrist joint is just gonna kind of control your claw positioning. Okay, so we are at the left shoulder joint. That looks pretty good. I'm gonna jump to my left elbow joint, which is where things get a little bit a little bit less yeah, there is no influence right over here. Yeah, for this I'm gonna keep about my 0.5. Yeah, so we're gonna keep my 0.5. If I try to start painting over here, I'm gonna notice that like this is my line. Yeah, so that's where my elbow is. My brush is way too large at this point, so I'm gonna go to my radius U. I'm gonna bring that down. Yeah, so I'll maybe bring it to 0.25. See how that looks. Not bad. I'm actually gonna go a little bit further, maybe about 0.1. Yeah, so right about here. And I'm just going to use this to kind of color this in. Yeah, so again, this is 0.5 and I'm painting at 100%, sorry, at 50%. Yeah, so, and this is my replace. So no matter what, when I'm brushing this, yeah, it will keep it at that 50%. Yeah, which is ideal. We don't want anything past that. Yeah, so we're gonna keep going until like our color is uniform all the way around. Yeah, so it looks like it's not changing already. That's my 50%. Yeah. Okay, now I'm gonna get down to over here, and we're gonna make sure that this area has a little bit of influence still from the top. Again, we're trying to avoid too much like denting, yeah, as it kind of changes up. So maybe over here we'll put this at let's go with about 0.65. Yeah, so we'll put that at 0.65. Okay, and then once again I'm gonna kind of paint this one in. Yeah, so I'm gonna drop these in. Oh, sorry, 0.65, not 0.065. Yeah, so 0.65. That blue was like way too low. Okay, and once again I'm gonna kind of go around. If you notice, the color has changed. Yeah, so this is why we kind of change our gradient to a color ramp instead of just the grays, because it is a little bit harder to tell that way. Okay, and then just being really careful in this area, yeah, as best as I can, like try to get that. Yeah, it's not the worst thing in the world if you end up missing over here. Yeah, because this is the area that kind of scrunches no matter what. Yeah, so we're gonna get all of that. Okay, that looks pretty solid. Yeah, looks like I don't have to go over that too much more. Yeah, so that's 0.65. Okay, the next one we're probably gonna bump this up quite a lot. Yeah, so the next one we'll probably put at put this at 0.85. Yeah, so and I'm gonna again paint this around. You're gonna notice it is like now very, very distinctive, like reddish orange. Yeah, so that's a good sign. Yeah, that's a good sign. Okay, we're gonna end up kind of dropping that off on this edge over here. Okay, and at this point, yeah, it should be looking very, very, very strong. Yeah, so yeah, right to about there. Okay, and then that'll kind of like create that kind of strength. Okay, the rest of this we're gonna be completely replacing. Yeah, so we're gonna put the rest at 100. Yeah, so our value is gonna go to 100. Immediately, what I'm gonna do here is start coloring everything else. Yeah, and then remember, because it is at 100. Yeah, we're making sure that all of the strength is transferred to this one. Yeah, I will bring up my brush a bit. Okay, and kind of start coloring in here. Remember the objective. Yeah, if something is at 100, it should be fully white. Yeah, so again, we're transferring the strength that was in here. Yeah, it was all connected to your shoulder prior. Yeah, but we're kind of bypassing that. Okay, now some of you may notice, like while I'm doing this kind of painting and stuff, that like I'm not actually like doing any I'm not doing any of these like I'm not removing value. Yeah, you always want to make sure that you're adding. Yeah, because if you don't do that, sometimes like your controls of your paint weights will end up going in random spots. Yeah, so if you tell something that you want it to be a little bit less strength than it was before. Yeah, so you notice I'm going from 0 to 50, 0 to 65, 0 to 80, 85. Yeah, if I just put in if I actually go and drop it something from bigger to smaller, that sometimes that kicks out the influence, but you don't know where it's gonna go. Yeah, and if you don't know where it's gonna go, it could go anywhere, and that's kind of scary, because then it can end up like going like the body all of a sudden has influence again. Maybe the clavicle has influence again. Yeah, so got to be careful about that. All right, I'm gonna bring my radius down a little bit. Yeah, again, I'm still continuing to color this into that white zone as much as possible. It's kind of a fun experience. Yeah, again, just trying to make sure that I don't overdo it and like bring this too far into that elbow crease. Yeah, if I do, then again our deformations will end up being a little bit extreme. Yeah, so yeah, something like this. All right, okay, hopefully you guys enjoy like doing this kind of painting. Yeah, it for some people this is like very satisfying. Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of drop that off. All right, so something like this is gonna look pretty cool. Looks like I might be missing a little bit under here, so just to make sure, I'm gonna go to my left hand, do Control H. Yeah, and then jump back into my tool, so Cube, Skin, and then go to my square next to Paint Skin Weights. And yeah, it looks like I had a little bit of a miss right there. Yeah, All right. Okay, and so almost everything is good. The last thing I'm gonna do here is just add a little bit of influence right up here, yeah, so that when it bends, this part doesn't like get squeezed too much, like it's toothpaste. Yeah. So for this value up here, I'm gonna put this at 0. Let's go with 0.25. Yeah. Oh no, we'll go with 0.2. Okay, and then right over here, I'm just gonna do like a really quick brush through on this row. Yeah, and again, this will help, like when it's doing the elbow bend, it'll this part won't feel as stiff. Yeah, it'll be slightly affected. Yeah. All right, and so basically this 0.2 took that away from the 100% from the shoulder. The shoulder still has the 80% left. Yeah. Now we can test this out. So once again, yeah, we have our shoulder. Let's go ahead and turn that. Yeah. I'm also going to bring back my hands just so I can kind of see it. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Shift H. Yeah, to bring that back. Okay, and I'm going to check my elbow. So if I click on that and kind of bend it, yeah. Okay, and if you notice now, because of our because we were able to kind of like give it enough weight, yeah, when it bends, yeah, it's gonna look pretty good. Yeah, it's gonna look pretty good over there. All right. Okay, so that's our there is our map, our paint mapping for that. Yeah, I'm gonna put this back into its original position. Yeah, so right click, assume preferred angle. And I am gonna need my other arm. Yeah, so I hope I didn't delete it. No, it's still there. Okay, so I'm gonna do my Shift H. Yeah, bring that one back. Okay, and then obviously, like everything that we did on the right side, we're also on the left side, we're also gonna do on the right side. All right. Now, one cool thing about having arms that are like basically symmetrical is that we can kind of take our settings, yeah. Because remember, for this arm, we did we did kind of set up so that our elbow bends and all of that good stuff, right? So we don't have to repeat that process on here necessarily, because you notice if I go into my paint skin weights, this is going to have the same issue, right? Right shoulder joint, super controlling over everything. Elbow joint, nothing. Yeah, no control whatsoever. Okay. Now the good thing is we can actually, because we painted this and because this is mirrored over, we can mirror over the influences. Yeah. So for example, if I click on my left arm, hold down the shift key, get my right arm, and then I go into my skin menu, and then I'm going to drop down to mirror skin weights, and we're going to click on the square next to it just to take a look at this. If you can make sure over here that your settings match up. The main thing is your mirror cross is at YZ, yeah, because we're facing forward, and also positive to negative, yeah. But this would be our settings. I can kind of do a quick reset, yeah, but looks like that's our default, thank goodness. Okay, what I'm then going to do is do a mirror. Okay, and then it will now mirror the influences over to this side. Okay, if we want to take a look at this side, yeah, if I click on this, go to my skin, go to my paint skin weights settings, yeah, you'll notice, yeah, I got my right shoulder joint, okay, and that has influences, maybe actually a little bit more, yeah. So it's not a perfect bring over, but when we go to my right elbow, yeah, you'll notice again that one feels like, yeah, it's not all stuck to that one shoulder, yeah. Okay, now of course, like once you get to here, you can kind of clean up, yeah, whatever you need to do. So let's say for here, I probably am going to do my replace and put this at 1 for this area, yeah. So I want these guys to be a little bit stronger, so kind of run through here, make sure that but yeah, this saves you a lot of time, yeah, because all you're really going to do is some very, very, very minor tweaking, yeah. So some very, very minor tweaking. Okay, yeah, there we go. All right, so that looks pretty good down there. I kind of like this like, yeah, slow cast off over there, so we're gonna go with that. As far as the right shoulder, I did notice like this one right here, there's a little bit of influence, but yeah, I'm kind of liking it, yeah. So again, you can test it out too, yeah. So again, remember, you can always press your Q key, do your rotations, yeah, see how that looks, get to your bicep, yeah, see if he can flex. Right on. Okay, so that's looking pretty good, yeah. And then you can kind of do some cool stuff over there. All right. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Now I am gonna put this again right before we move on to anything else. Yeah, please make sure you right click on your root joint, go to your assume preferred angle so everything's back in place. Okay, and then our last thing we're gonna really be focusing on is gonna be the legs.